I've brewed up a brand new deck for Modern that will leave my opponents baffled because they're going to be dead before they knew what hit them.
Where am I?
And it's compliments of this new baddie. I don't know how to say its name,
Let's call him Larry.
but I do know what it does. Every time a red source deals my opponent non-combat damage, Larry will deal 4 damage instead. So I've loaded my deck with effects that ping away the opponent's life total. But with Larry in play, these pings aren't going to be so pingy, are they? Nope. So if Larry sticks around for more than a turn cycle, it's super duper game over. Larry and I, we're bringing the pain, and they can't handle the pain, can they? Nope. All right, round 1, let's see what Larry's capable of. We have won the die roll. We'll take the play. Opening 7 looks pretty good. We'll keep it. Playing against a known living end player. Start with a Mountain, Ragavan, Bobble. Pass turn during their upkeep. Let's look at their top card. We see a Grief on top, and that is why I bobbled during the upkeep. Breeding Pool from the opponent. Grief, exile Grief. Lavadart to the graveyard. Grief to the graveyard. Draw up the Bobble. Draw into an Larry. If we can cast that next turn, that would be pretty good. Move to combat. Swing for 2. Trigger Ragavan. Misty Rainforest exiled. Play out a Scalding Tarn. Play out a Bobble. We'll fetch Mountain Scalding Viper, which is going to be extremely good in this and other Cascade matchups because it will trigger twice every time they try to Cascade. Back our way, we'll draw upkeep. Opponent cycles a Generous Ent during the upkeep. Get themselves a basic Forest. Draw into a second Ferocidon and a Swift Spear. Move to combat. Swing with the team. Trigger the Ragavan. Striped Riverwinder has been exiled. Can't cast that one. 4 mana. Cast our Larry and pass the turn. 3 mana Violent Outburst. Scalding Viper is going to deal them 4. They're going to go down to 8. Living End. Scalding Viper is going to deal them another 4. Flashback Lavadart for them, and we got the game. Turn 3 kill, not bad. All right, sideboarding. We are going to board out 4 Lightning Bolts, Lavadart, Spikefield Hazard, bring in Spell Pierces, Chalice, and Stone of Eric. Opponent's on a mulligan to 6. I don't think we can keep this hand. We'll mulligan as well. All right, we've got some hate, so we'll keep this. And I think we're going to get rid of the Fiery Islet. One with a Misty. Nothing else. Back our way. Draw into a Scalding Tarn. Start with our Mountain into a Dragon's Rage. I started with the Dragon's Rage with the intent of triggering Surveil and filling up my own graveyard. Coming our way. Cycle a Riverwinder. Breeding Pool tapped. Draw into a Chalice. Not a bad one. Let's start there. Play it out for 0. Trigger the Dragon's Rage. I'll put land to the graveyard. Bloodstained Mire. Fetch. Get a basic Mountain. Dash in Ragavan. Move to combat. Swing for 3. Trigger. Ragavan connects, and they scoop the match. We're 1-0. Not a bad start. Jumping back in. Round 2. We'll take play. 7 looks pretty good. We'll keep it. We're going to start with a Scalding Tarn, Fetch, Mountain, and a Ragavan. Ragavan sticks. Opponent with Polluted Delta, Fetch, Watery Grave, Shock. I think Ragavan's going away. All right, we draw into a Lightning Bolt. Start with a Bloodstained Mire, crack it. We'll shock in our Steam Vents. Swift Spear, cast Lavadart, trigger. Opponent with a Force and Negation. Very aggressive. Move to combat, swing for 2, down to 15. Preordain, they put 2 on the bottom. Basic Island, back to us. Draw into a Spikefield Hazard. Start with combat, swing for 1, 4 damage. We'll bolt, trigger. They're down to 12. Lavadart, trigger. Down to 11. Take 3 down to 8. Play out our Cave tapped. Pass turn. Cycle Lorien Revealed. Basic Island. Back our way. Draw into a Scalding Viper. I think we're going to start with an attack. Put them down to 7. We're going to play out the Viper. Draws a counterspell. That's what we were hoping for. Okay, no lands, back our way. Draw a Channeler. Pretty good. Start with combat. Swing. Opponent with an Archmage's Charm. Gain control of it. Sure. Play out our Channeler. And a Subtlety, discarding a counterspell. Put that on the bottom. The next few turns I draw into double Ferocidon, the first of which is met by a triple chump block, and the second which eats a Fatal Push on the same turn. The stalemate is broken when my opponent finds their 4th land and can cast out their One Ring from their hand. That's fine. Trigger, draw a card, going down to 11. Draw another Lavadart. It's going to be close to lethal here. Pass turn back, opponent's going down to 6. Play out a land, 4 for a Shieldred. Fire off a Lightning Bolt. Fire off a Lavadart. Opponent's going to draw 2 cards in response. Fire off another Lavadart and another one. We're up a game. We're going to board out Ragavans and a Rampaging Ferocidon. We're going to bring in Spell Pierce and Unholy Heat. 7 looks good. We'll keep it. Opponent with Polluted Delta. Draw into a land. We're good on lands at this point. We'll start with a Scalding Tarn. Fetch. Mountain. Swift Spear. Combat. Good chance Swift Spear is dying. Basic Swamp. Away goes the Swift Spear. Opponent with an Otawara, 2 mana, Chalice on 1. It's not bad. Draw a Scalding Viper, we can return that Chalice. Play a Scalding turn, we'll fetch Basic Mountain and a Vortex. Opponent's going to take 1. They preordain, it's going to get countered by their Chalice. Sunken Hollow, back our way, we'll take 1. Drawn to a Swift Spear, can't play that out with the Chalice there. Bloodstained Mire, we'll fetch. We're going to shock here. Steam Vents, Ferocidon, pass turn back. Opponent takes 1, down to 17. Can't do anything coming back our way, we'll take 1, we're down to 13. Draw Wooded Foothills. Tempted to just leave the Chalice there. I'll play out our Foothills. Fetch. Basic Mountain. Sokuzan. It's going to deal me 2. Combat. Attack. It's going to be a Bowmaster. Opponent's going to take 2 off of this. They deal 1 to the Ferocidon. They're down to 15. And they're going to double block the Ferocidon. They're going down to 13. Opponent's going down to 12. Back our way. We're down to 9. Drawn to our Larry. I'm very tempted to just jam that, but I know there's a counter spell. Start with combat. Attack for 2. Opponent's down to 10. Steam clean that Chalice. Okay, there's the counter spell that we were expecting. Pass it back, Vortex puts them down to 9. We're going down to 8. Draw a Scalding Tarn. Let's start with an attack for 2. Opponent's down to 7. Play out our Tarn. Play our Larry. Opponent with a Subtlety, they're going to take 5 off of that. People often forget about that mode on Roiling Vortex, but very relevant in a format glutted with elementals. Vortex puts them down to 1 and they scoop it up. We're 2-0. Round 3, we're on the play. Let's go. 7's aggressive, we like it. Start by shocking his Team Vents. Bobble. Let's take a look at what they're doing. See as a Baz. I'll play out our Ragavan. Pass turn. Draw a card off our Bobble. Spikefield Hazard was excellent. Forest. Could be Zabaz. And it is. Untap. Bolt. Not bad as well. Wonder if I get this Hazard in tapped. Let's bolt down Zabaz. Combat. Attack for 2. Ragavan triggers. See an Arcbound Ravager. Cast that out. Don't really need to though. Play out our Spikefield Hazard and pass the turn. Going with a Saga and an Automaton. Back our way. Drawn to a Channeler. Start with an attack for 2. Opponent chooses not to block. Interesting. Ragavan triggers. We see as a Baz on top. I think we are going to play that one. Play out our Caverns to our Larry. Maybe I'll hold off so I can guarantee double Vortex next turn. We'll just pass it back. Saga up to 2. Pendlehaven. Opponent playing Ancient Stirrings. Reveals a Ballista. Cauldron. Trigger. Ballista. Trigger. Ballista goes to the graveyard. Eat the Ballista. Counters on the Automaton. Opponent with nothing else. Ferocidon is interesting. I think we're going to start with attacks. For 6, opponent blocks the Ragavan. Opponent with no blocks. They shoot down the Ragavan. They're down at 12. Play out a Vortex and another Vortex. Back their way, 2 Vortex triggers. Opponent's going to take 4 off of each of them. Down to 4 life. Saga trigger. Opt for a Haywire Might. Sacrifice the Might. Gain 2 life. Exile a Vortex. 1 mana floating. Eat the Might. Counters on the Automaton. Play out a Zabaz. Automaton's up to a 5/5. Land. Stirrings. Get a Saga. Attack for 5. I'm down to 13. It's crazy given how low we got their life total, but the combination of Cauldron and Automaton actually allowed my opponent to stabilize the board. I played out a Ferocidon and was forced to chump block to stave off a lethal attack. I returned the favor and tried to attack for lethal with Larry, and it gets shot down with Ballista's ability. No, Larry! This goes on for quite some time, where I play a threat and they have just enough resources to answer. After a Dragon's Rage and 2 Scalding Vipers, it was down to a top deck. If I find Bolt, I win, and I walk away with the game 1 victory. We draw into a Dragon's Rage. That's not going to be good enough. We'll scoop it up. On to game 2. So we move on to game 2, and I have to say, games 2 and 3 were some of the funniest games I've ever played. Not because of excellent gameplay, but because both my opponent and I repetitively committed heinous punts over and over again. Let's start with the first of 3 ginormous punts at the end of game 2. Opponent's down to 6 life. Opponent leads their turn with a land. Dismember. They're down to 2 life. Opponent's moving to combat. They attack with the team. And now I believe if I block the Automaton, I survive. So I'm going to block. See if I'm right or wrong. Opponent sacrifices the Automaton. 2 counters on the Ravager. Sacrifices the Zabaz. Ravager up to a 9/9. Down to 1 life. And I'm going to die to the Vortex. I thought I would be at 2. Wow, they scooped. They scooped. The Vortex was going to kill me. They scooped. That's so crazy. So that first punt was committed by my opponent, but the next 2 were on me. It's towards the end of game 3, and I have just put my opponent down to 3 life. They're struggling to hang on, and I pull an amazing top deck. We draw into a Spikefield Hazard to exile the Haywire Might. Oh no! I played it out. I didn't mean to do that. Oh no, that was a mistake. I meant to use that. Oh, that's brutal. All right, we'll just play out a Ferocidon and pass turn. I know, pretty bad. But if you play on Moto, you're going to misclick from time to time, right? Well, that's very generous of you to give me the benefit of the doubt, but I don't deserve it. Watch what I do here. Upkeep, I'm going to fetch. Get a basic mountain. We draw into Spikefield Hazard. That is going to be lethal. Oh no, I played it as a land again. Oh my god. All right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that again. We'll dash in this Ragavan. Attack for 2. Hardened Scales off the top. That's not going to do anything for us. I return Ragavan, pass turn. Opponent does nothing, back our way. All right, we draw into a Ferocidon. That should seal things up. Dash in Ragavan. Move to combat. Attack. And they scoop it up. And we're 3-0, although I can't say I necessarily deserve it. And we're back at it, match 4. And looking at my opening hand was the high point of this game. Gemstone Caverns means my adversary is likely Rhinocerosing, which means I'm not sure my hand is equipped to deal with what they're doing. My turn 1 DRC gets promptly fired for poor work ethic, but I'm still able to crack in for 3 with a hasty Swift Spear on turn 2, which my opponent scoffs at and promptly cascades into 2 Rhinoceri on their turn 2. I attempt to steam clean one of them, which shouldn't really work as it doesn't make sense, and that's met by a Force of Negation. That was my last ditch effort, and I was completely out of gas, and they finished me off in 2 attacks. We're down a game. Okay, in this matchup, we're going to board out Bolts and a Lava Dart. We're going to bring in Chalices and Spell Pierce. Take the play. 7 does the thing. We'll keep it. We're going to start with a Scalding Tarn, Fetch, Basic Mountain, Dragon's Rage, pass turn. Opponent's Steam Vent Shock. Going to kill our Dragon's Rage. Killed it dead. Draw into a Scalding Viper. Play out a Fiery Islet to a Roiling Vortex. Resolves. Opponent goes down to 17. Lorien revealed. Get a Triome. Tapped. Back our way. We're going to take 1. Down to 17. Draw into a Bobble. Oh, Bobble's going to deal us 5. I forgot about that. Yikes. That's pretty bad. We'll look at their top card. Outburst on top. Okay. We'll play out a Cave. Tapped. We'll pass turn back. Draw a card off our Bobble. We were really looking for a land. Put them down to 16. Looks like they're missing their land drop. We're getting lucky here. We're going to put them down to 15. The reason we're doing that is to put the Lava Dart into our graveyard. All right, we'll take 1. We're down to 11. Ace down our land. Okay, we find our Scalding Tarn. Play out our Swift Spear. Combat. Attack for 1. Opponent's at 14. Down to 13. They did not find a land. Getting lucky here. End of turn, we're going to fetch. We'll get our Steam Vents tapped. They discard Violent Outburst. We're going to take 1. Go down to 9. Another Scalding Viper. We'll move to combat. Opponent ices down our Swift Spear. We're happy to see that. Second main, play out our big dog, Larry. Okay, back to my opponent. Roiling Vortex. Opponent is petty thefting during their upkeep. They take 1. Down to 12. They found their land. They scoop it up. Game 3. His hand is lacking lands, but we do have a Bobble and a Channeler and Interaction I think we're going to keep. Opponent with a Misty coming our way. Draw a second Bobble, pretty good. Fiery Islet, Dragon's Rage. Bobble, trigger. Put Swift Spear in the graveyard. Another Bobble. Scalding Tarn. We're going to keep that on top. Opponent fetches. Land tapped. Upkeep, we'll look at their top card. See Adawara. Second game in a row. Basic Island. Back to us. We're going to draw off the Bobble. We get Ice down. That's fine. Draw for turn. Another Spell Pierce. Pretty good. Play out the Scalding Tarn. Combat. Attack for 1. And I think we're going to look at their top card. Crashing Footfalls. Draw off our Bobble. Find a Lava Dart. Opponent with a Forest. Coming back to us. Untap. Draw a Mountain. Happy to see another land. Play that out. Combat and attack. Opponent's down to 17. And with a Flame of Anor, 5 damage to our Dragon's Rage. I think we're going to Spell Pierce that. Mountain, we'll put that on top. Opponent with their 4th land. 3 mana Violent Outburst. Footfalls, we'll fetch. Shock into Steam Vents. And Spell Pierce again. It's going to trigger Dragon's Rage. Ragavan on top. I think we'll keep that on top. Back our way. Draw our Ragavan, we knew about that. We'll dash it in. Attack for 5. Shardless revealed off the top. We can't cast that. Tempted to play this Vortex. I think we're going to. Play it out. Surveil. Larry, the graveyard. Ragavan back to hand. Opponent's down to 11. Stomping Ground. Tapped. Back our way. Vortex. Draw Scalding Tarn. Opponent could have a Subtlety here. Move to combat. Swing for 3. Opponent's down to 8. Scalding Tarn. Fetch. Mountain. Ferocidon. Okay, there's the Subtlety. Put the Ferocidon on the bottom. Play out the Ragavan. Pass turn back. Vortex, put them down to 7. No attacks. Back our way. We're going down to 10. Move to combat. Swing with the team. Opponent besieges down the Vortex. Get ourselves a mountain. Violent Outburst, get themselves some rhinos, block, super killer monkey. And now if they don't have Subtlety blue card or Force of Negation blue card, we will win this game. Larry resolves, Lava Dart, they're down to 3, flashback the dart, and they're dead. 4-0, get 'em Larry, whoop whoop. So I'll admit, our 4-0 start maybe involved a little bit of luck, just a little. But playing for the 5-0, our luck more than ran out when we got obliterated, stomped, thrashed, and embarrassed by Hammer Time. Quickly, very quickly, in 2 games. And while I'm not super confident this deck is good, it was very gratifying to see it winning because I tested it a ton before filming this video. I'm glad Larry got his shine. I hope you've enjoyed today's journey with myself, your host, and Larry, and I will see you all again very soon. Until then, you know the deal, my friends. Be well.